Good morning all. 6 a.m. Just finished my morning run, but I'm not in here for that. I'm here to talk about the digital ID. Let's go through it quickly. 5 pointers I want to touch on why it's extremely dangerous and we need to fight for our rights. I'm dead serious about this. But let me go through the 5 pointers and I'll explain why afterwards. 1. The digital ID, for those of you who don't know what it is, in the UK, I must add, is a centralized ID system, which means it holds everything about you. And I mean everything. It holds your medical records, your finances, your social service history, your mental health, your travel history. It holds everything, absolutely everything, right? It's going to be controlled by the government or private contractors. More than likely private contractors. That means there's a breach, but we'll talk about that shortly. And it controls and it looks at all of your movements, right? Very dangerous. Point number 2, loss of your freedom and your civil liberties. Now you've got to look and research what civil liberties are about. It's very, very important that you know what your civil liberties are, right? And the fact that they're being breached. But let me go forward anyway. So the digital ID is a surveillance tool, right? It's a surveillance tool that it will surveillance in real time, by the way, your social services, your banking, as I said before, your voting, if you've vaccinated or not. And if you haven't vaccinated and you don't comply, your ID is switched off, and then access to your bank and all the rest of it. Your medical world, everything will be switched off. So that will be coming shortly afterwards. They say it's in the name of migration at this precise time, which is very, very untrue. It's nothing to do with migration. It's an excuse, because when people are emotional, they will vote things in. It's just something that's happened all throughout history, right? So once it's introduced, right, you're going to have digital wallets, and inside that digital wallet you're going to have your vaccine records. Inside that digital wallet you're going to have your credit history inside your credit score and stuff that's going to be inside of it as well. And if you don't comply, if you don't fall in line, it will be either restricted or switched off. Just like with your driving license, it will be restricted or switched off. You just won't be able to drive if you don't comply or fall in line. If you protest or you do something what the government don't like, you'll be switched off or restricted. Dangerous. Number 3, exclusion and discrimination. Now you've got elderly people who doesn't have a mobile phone, or they don't have a smartphone. They don't know how to use a smartphone. So straight away by default, the vulnerable who are not tech savvy will be just by default left out. They won't know how to navigate properly. There's many things they won't be able to do, just like many things they can't do now when it comes to mobile phones. People don't know this, but there are many different areas where people are excluded because they don't know how to be advanced on a mobile phone. There's some people 70 years old, 80 years old, but the government don't want those people to really be a part of anything. There's many reasons why, but they have historic data. They know how to fight the government. They come from a day and a time where they could fight the government when it comes to the 1990, March the 31st, 1990 poll tax riots. If you look and see how people was fighting back then, you'll understand why the government has a resentment for a lot of the baby boomers today. I must add that. 200,000 people were marching around that time, and they were fighting for the poll tax rights. Around the time of Margaret Thatcher, I believe, something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head, right? So I'll talk about that shortly in a second. So they talk about, how it's going to control things concerning refugees. In that area, it will have some control, but also as well, you're kind of throwing the baby out with the bathwater, for those who understand what that terminology means, right? Number 4, mission creep. Mission creep. What does it mean by mission creep? Governments, by introducing this new ID, right, it will creep in and look and breach your security. It doesn't even make sense having a password nowadays. Pointless, because your security is going to be open to whoever's got access to your data. And trust me, hackers, we'll get to hackers in a moment. Hackers will have access to all of your data. Before, it will be a bit kind of segmented. But now they're going to have full access altogether. And government can say, oh, we're going to put security in place. Governments can't even secure themselves. How are they going to secure you? They can't even secure you much as themselves. Or they can't even secure themselves much as secure you. So there's going to be a lot of breaches there. It's going to be very, very dangerous. And countries as well is going to manipulate another country just by that. Or should I say countries are going to manipulate the UK just because of that. Not even other countries. Forget other countries for a moment. Just the UK, right? So what starts as proof of ID, which they're going to introduce it in as because migrants and all the rest of it, is going to very, very, very quickly, before Keir Starmer moves on to being a backbencher, right? They're gonna move on very quickly to it. You know, you have to now ask permission to travel, because they're actually introducing that now as it goes. For those who don't know, you're gonna need permission to travel. If you travel like 3 times in a year, they can switch off your ID and say, why are you traveling again for? Why do you need to leave again for? So they'll just switch it off. If you're putting too much money or taking out too much money out of your account, they'll switch it off. Why are you exchanging so much money for? If you're trying to buy too many properties, they'll switch it off. Why do you feel like you need so many properties for? I think we need to heavily tax you. And if not, we'll just keep you switched off. So the threats of security, number 5, as I said before, is a massive, massive part of it. You know, a lot of people is going to be hacked. It's going to be very, very dangerous. And because it's one centralized system, you can't protect it personally because it's centralized. There's no independence on your side when it comes to security. Just like you always hear Microsoft or Apple or whoever it may be, you know, 100 million people, 100,000 people, whatever it may be, they got breached, their security got breached. The same thing that's going to happen. People's going to be cloning your name, cloning your face, cloning everything. It's a massive problem. It's a massive, massive, massive problem, right? What do? First and foremost, the first thing that you do, now that I've said all of that, is learn, study. You need to know the law. You need to know government acts, statutes, code, coordinates, legislation, the Magna Carta. You need to first and foremost know your rights, your common law rights, your God-given rights, your inalienable rights, that is. You need to know acts and statutes. You need to know how to fight. And I'm not talking about physical fighting here. I'm talking about fighting, knowing your laws. I've stated so many times, but people are just so busy wrapped up in TikTok world and wrapped up in Instagram world. They don't want to take a book out anymore. They don't want to take out a book and do their proper due diligence. Here's the problem with AI. AI is made originally by an algorithm. The question that you got asked by default is, who made the algorithm? That's one of the best questions to ask when it comes to the information you're receiving today blindly without doing your own due diligence. Who made the algorithm to the AI that you're now going to? And once you figure that one out, because I'm not going to tell you that, I can't give you everything. You got to do your own due diligence. But once you figure out who made the AI algorithms, then you'll figure out very quickly why AI is not the place to blindly go to just receive your rights, your acts, your statutes, your code, your coordinates. This is the reason why so many people, when it comes to education, they're failing, again, Fs, because they're following ChatGTP and all the rest of it very blindly, not knowing who made those algorithms. They're following Black history, Asian history, German history blindly, and they're getting wrong information because who made the algorithm that made the AI? Listen, if you want us to really survive in this world, it's time for you to stop being lazy. Do your due diligence. Fight. Not physically, psychologically, spiritually, and legally.